Hello, Otafest podcast listeners. This is the third episode of the 10th season of the Otafest podcast.
Wee-wee.
And with me today are Nancy and Jay.
Hello.
That's us.
Oh, I hope you guys have had a fantastic week, but we've got some news and announcements. Warning! Incoming game. Reboot fans rejoice. Otafest presents Reboot Rewind, the finale, with episodes 6, 7, and 8 at the Plaza Theater, happening on October 19th, 2024. Doors open at 1:30 p.m. Showtime starts 2:15 p.m. to 4:45 p.m. Get your tickets to the reboot finale at Otafest/reboot. That is otafe.st/reboot. Or check our posts on social media. This is very exciting.
Those are some of my favorite episodes, by the way. I will be there.
To my understanding, we're recording on the 22nd. On the 24th, the day before this episode releases, Otafest is doing an online watch-along in the Otafest Discord.
Woo!
Yeah! So if you're listening to this podcast, you've missed it. But that means don't miss the final episodes. Apparently this was going to be an issue. Reboot Rewind wasn't going to be able to play in theaters in Alberta.
Why not?
Because they couldn't get the screening rated.
But we are a film festival.
We are a
So
film
we were
festival.
like,
So we can
acknowledge
rate
us. Acknowledge our power.
it. Otafest has the power to rate Reboot Rewind, and I think that is amazing.
That is excellent to hear. Making use of that power responsibly. That's what
Now,
we do.
All of us here on the podcast are old fogies. Did you guys watch Reboot in your youth?
Yes, 100% yes. That is something
same.
I attribute to me becoming a voice actor at all.
Nice.
I would probably say, especially for maybe like Western media and also something as a child that I watched. Like I watched Reboot. Let's see, when did it come out first?
I think it
But
was
anyway.
1996.
5 or 4. One of those.
Okay, so I probably started, it came out, first episode date, September 10, 1994. There's
Oh, wow.
no way I watched it in 1994, only because I wouldn't have remembered anything at 4 years of age. However, I probably started watching its syndicated reruns when I was probably around 9, if I had to guess. And I would say it's probably one of the very few shows as a child that I watched the entire series of.
It's really interesting. Did you guys have a favorite character or a favorite scene? Because I can tell you right now, my favorite part of the entire series is the dueling guitars between Bob and Megadite.
Hell yes. I
It is.
loved that episode. It was so good.
We are going on 30 years later, and every now and then I'll just bring that up on YouTube, being like, yeah, I want to watch
I want to
Megadite and
listen to
Bob
this
duel
right
guitars.
now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have a favorite scene. A lot of memorable scenes come to mind. Favorite character. Weirdly, I kind of liked Fong a lot.
Fong
Oh,
was
that's
great.
I miss Fong. I like everyone liked Bob. Everyone liked, the whole like men to defend monologue at the beginning of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I
I liked Frisket.
Oh.
Frisket was my
I
favorite
really liked
digital pop.
I think as one of the shows of my youth, it's probably one of the ones with the most character development from beginning to end. It has it has a time skip involved.
The surprising thing was, Reboot, when it was created, was never intended to be a kids show. Enzo as a character didn't exist.
Oh yeah, they talked a little. Well, I mean, there were definitely a lot of censorship jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in that episode you mentioned, the one with the guitar battle. There was a lot of censorship jokes in that one, and I think
There
the
were some
writers
great
and producers
ones.
found it really frustrating because the gloves finally came off when they started doing like seasons 3 and 4, I think.
Yeah, and
Yes,
then they had like
after
the
the
Game
time
On
skip,
movie.
After the time
that
skip, they
was more the vibe that they wanted for Reboot the entire time.
totally. It was a little bit darker, a bit grittier, a little bit more serious, but
But I
still
don't like.
fun.
I kind of liked that they had to make it a kids show at first, just because it gave the chance for an audience to grow up with it.
If it
As well.
wasn't a kids show, I probably wouldn't have been able to watch it.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been syndicated on YTV.
Yeah,
That's fair.
But
that's
yeah,
what it
like
was.
the character development of that show is pretty stellar. I mean, you're not just the pro tags, like you have Enzo, you have Bob,
Andrea.
obviously, but you have Andrea who grows up. You have Hexadecimal
Oh
who
god,
really
Hexadecimal is such a baddie. I love her.
goes through like
She
she goes
was
through such a character.
So unhinged. I loved
development.
her.
Ah,
True chaotic neutral.
I really liked Hack and Slash.
oh my god, Hack and
They were
Slash.
fun.
Them being on the drums in that guitar duel scene was just. I loved
So
everything about that scene.
excellent.
Was so good.
It was so perfect. It was so perfect. Like Megabyte's giant freaking guitar.
Yes.
Yeah, he like comes out of a casket that opens up right when it rises out of the vehicle. I'm just like, oh my god, it's so perfect.
It's legendary. It's so good.
Yes. And speaking of good times and legendary things to come,
We've got the fall anime. I'm so excited. There are so many sequels coming up. Is everybody ready for another season of ReZero? And another season of Sword Art Online? And another season of Arifureta? Why the heck did
Stop.
another season of Arifureta come out? How are there 30
I can
seasons
only
of
be
this?
so excited. I cannot handle the excitement. That's why that's why our preview shows are, non-sequels only, because otherwise I would just burst
We'd
at
be
the
talking
seams
about
with
that
excitement.
that Ranma 1/2 and the new Dragon Ball.
I mean,
Is it the 80s again?
Ranma 1/2 had it was an interesting time. It is a full-on remake. I
I've-
don't know how much of it they're actually keeping and how much of
I
it they're
actually
cheating.
have a confession to make.
What?
I am a bad
Are you a
weeb. I've
Nickelback
never
fan?
watched Ranma.
Oh, we recently watched through as much of it as we could, so I feel like we're in a good position to guide you through these are the parts that matter.
Yeah.
For what
I'm
it's worth, I
actually
also
kind
have
of
never
excited to
watched
watch
it.
it because I've never seen it before.
I'm
Well,
in the same boat. Never
I
seen it.
personally hope that as one of the first animes I ever remembered watching as a very small, impressionable child, I hope they do it justice, and I hope they fix some of the weirdly problematic writing.
We'll see about that. It is
We'll see.
Japan after all.
We'll see. But
Yeah, I mean,
rather
There's
than
weirdly problematic shows coming out right now.
Like Mo
indeed.
2099 by JC Staff. An action comedy drama fantasy sci-fi anime. The cyberpunk metropolis, Shinjuku. A massive city-state bedecked with neon signs, towering skyscrapers, and the latest cutting-edge technology. It is here in year 2099 of the Fused Era, where the legendary demon lord Veltol has his second coming 5 centuries in the making. But this landscape is nothing like the one he conquered all those years ago. For the fusion of magic and engineering has elevated civilization to dazzling, unprecedented heights. Veltol may have been reduced to a historical footnote, but make no mistake. This brave new world will be his for the taking.
okay,
I
how much of the writing that you just read matched up with the trailer that we just watched?
No.
half of it. I feel like
It's-
Veltol showed up in the future and he's confused and decided to be a VTuber or something.
Okay, let's talk about what we saw in the trailer for context.
The first part of the trailer, it reminded me of the first episode of Samurai Jack. Except instead of Jack, you have a reincarnated demon lord. It's almost opposite day.
Aku came to the future.
I feel like my brain wanted to go to The Devil is a Part-Timer because there's a whole chunk of the trailer where they literally were like, I need to find a job and there's no one who's willing to hire me. Oh no. And then at the end, I guess he becomes a YouTuber?
Like YouTuber
Streamer.
or streamer or something. Like,
A streamer?
The one thing that really stood out to me wasn't particularly like the description or the trailer, but it's the premise, the concept behind it. Because you have to realize art tends to take the form of social commentary. Like, I don't want to get too deep on this anime. I just felt kind of sad after I watched the trailer because I was like,
Sad or disappointed?
yeah, because it's basically like the despair of the new generation and how difficult it is to find employment and be successful. That's what it was screaming at me. I was like, it's rough.
I got
And now
a
you're
little bit
gonna
of a
go sell
different vibe
yourself.
out of it, but your
You're gonna
take
sell
on it
yourself
is
for
way
subs.
more interesting and way more artistic. I was basically looking at it and being like, wow, this person watched the Irregular at Demon Lord Academy and was like, man, Anos Voldigold, he came back 1,000 years from the past. He wouldn't know what the fuck is going on. He wouldn't understand the future. How would they? No, I refuse. He would be in an unmistakably different world, and he would have no idea how to navigate it. It'd be insane.
You're not wrong. But you also mentioned that like in the trailer, didn't you also mention that it seemed like he was not the character you were expecting?
No, like, I'm not sure, because this whole trope of the demon lord being resurrected, I have watched at least three anime with that exact premise.
Yeah.
They're usually bad. One season of one of them was actually kind of good in a way, but the rest of them, pure slop.
I feel
This
like the
one?
first season of The Devil is a Part-Timer was funny, at least.
Devil is a Part-Timer first season. Only season as far as I'm concerned. There's only been one season of Devil is a Part-Timer. Anyone who tells you that there is a second season of Devil is a Part-Timer is lying to you. They're trying to break your heart.
I
Don't
had
listen
no
to them.
idea. Thanks for saving me that heartbreak.
This one, I'm kind of into it. We'll see what happens. This sort of comedy is one of JC Staff's strengths.
It's too depressing.
But the whole Demon Lord Resurrected trope is such... It doesn't have a very good
dry.
track record.
Interesting.
It doesn't have a very good track record, so I am here for a train wreck.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm not interested in it.
I will maintain my stance that I will at least watch one episode of it.
I'm sure when we do the recap episode, I will be talking your ear off about how trashy it is, and that I'll be having fun.
Oh gosh. Well, let's hold on to our hope for it, I guess, to whatever degree we'd like to hold on to hope for it. Next up, we have Kinoko Inu, Mushroom Pup by Sea Station. It's a comedy, drama, fantasy, and slice of life. Picture book author Hotaru Yuyami lost his beloved dog, Hanako. He was in the depths of a dark and deep sadness, regretting his inability to do anything about it. One day he notices a pink mushroom growing under the snow willow tree in his garden. As he gazed at it idly, it suddenly began to move, wagging its tail and coming closer to him. A mushroom dog? Despite his doubts, he decides to live with this mysterious creature, Kinoko Inu, mushroom dog. Then he started drawing where he wasn't supposed to draw, ate all the melon bread and takoyaki, and made all sorts of messes, but his playful attitude is hard to hate. The days spent with Kinoko Inu, involving his childhood friend Komako-chan, the editor, and Yara-kun of the Mushroom Research Institute, gradually changes Hotaru's expression. This is a slightly mysterious and heartwarming animation that depicts the funny days of Hotaru and everyone together with Kinoko Inu, who is too mysterious in many ways. I was extremely confused when we watched the trailer to this because I was just like, it's a pink
his
mushroom
dog
dog.
died. Oh, okay. My first impression was like, holy shit, his dog is dead. His dog died. I am going to tear up watching the first episode, I can tell you that much. But beyond that, I was suddenly really worried that the whole concept is that like some mushroom in some cordyceps fashion reanimated the corpse of his dog, and that doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, like it wasn't a zombie reanimation of his past dog. It was just
A
a
mushroom
mushroom
dog.
that also is a dog.
And then there was a second mushroom dog.
And
The
then there
mushroom
was a
dogs were
fire.
multiplying. And then the house was on fire. That's
Yeah.
right, Jay. The
Yeah,
house is
and
on
then-
fire.
And then the trailer ended, and we had no idea what was happening.
Also, this dog started writing. And I think we got a couple lines of dialogue, like thought dialogue from the dog about reincarnation or something. It's like, do you believe in reincarnation? Or something like that. It was like half a second on screen. I don't know what's going on here. It's crazy.
It makes cute noises.
It does make very cute noises.
I mean, it's a cute pup.
I have no idea what to expect from this show.
You know what I was thinking when I heard the dog noises? I was thinking that those are Nancy noises. Nancy could make those noises.
If I could be that adorable, I'd be so proud of myself.
Yes.
What do you mean you're not that adorable? I don't understand.
Is JC Staff looking, or is C Station looking to hire more cute sound makers? I will make the cute noises for them.
Cute noises for money.
That is basically what my job is. Yes.
I'm interested to see what the first episode is and to see if there's any more fleshing out of what this arsonist fungi canine will achieve.
What if I'm right and it is just a cordyceps infection reanimating his dog's corpse?
Could be. I don't know if we
That would be horrifying.
have a lot of
It
info.
looks way too cute for that to be the case.
Like my expectations out of this show after seeing the trailer is that it will be full of adorable slice of life times with a dog who's helping you out of depression. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I expect
Oh,
it to
that's
be
a
like a
good time.
heartwarming story.
except for the arson.
Yeah, the arson is.
That's a
Are you kidding?
housewarming
A
you
little
don't
bit
want.
of arson will warm your heart very well. It'll
That
absolutely
is a
char it.
housewarming you do not want.
No, please don't arson to warm hearts. That's not super effective.
What is super effective? Spirals. In this case, the spiral, also known as Uzumaki, by Drive and Akatsuki. It's drama, horror, mystery, and the supernatural. Kuruzucho, a small fog-bound town on the coast of Japan, is cursed. According to Shuichi Saito, the withdrawn boyfriend of teenager Kirie Goshima, their town is haunted not by a person or being, but by a pattern. Uzumaki, the spiral, the hypnotic secret shape of the world. It manifests itself in small ways: seashells, ferns, whirlpools in water, whirlwinds in air. And in large ways, the spiral marks on people's bodies, the insane obsessions of Shuichi's father, the voice from the cochlea in your inner ear. As the madness spreads, the inhabitants of Guruzucho are pulled ever deeper, as if into a whirlpool from which there is no return.
I am a fan of Junji Ito works.
Same.
And quite frankly, the previous Junji Ito anime from, I want to say, 4 years ago, was dragging his name through the mud.
It was not as good.
It looked horrible. And this, on the
Uzumaki-
other hand, looks amazing.
Like that art style is on point for this story.
Yeah, it looks very much like they took like frames from his manga and just like animated them.
It damn near looks like they animated manga here. Like, it was a very stylistic choice to make a black and white anime.
It works though,
it's
especially if you
so
know Junji Ito.
Atmospheric.
Yeah.
It's so atmospheric.
It makes the concept pop even more. The trailer that we watched was so artful in how it like expressed the whole spiral concept as like the haunting pattern, as they're kind of calling it. I did have a side thought while I was watching it, because we're thinking about, they're pointing about how the spirals show in like nature's patterns. So we're basically talking about what's the math term?
The golden rule.
No, not the golden-
Fibonacci swirl.
Fibonacci
pattern.
Watching the Fibonacci sequence as horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's bad. I mean, it works. I like
I
the
think
idea.
it's awesome.
I found so I was actually quite surprised at how many particularly cursed scenes showed up in the trailer. I feel like if I was the person marketing a Junji Ito anything, I would leave all the cursing, like all the really cursed stuff right at the very, very end and only flash a little bit of it. But it was sprinkled throughout. Like the trailer had so many cursed scenes in it. Like there's a
I
spot
think what
where
they were doing.
there's like a spot where a woman has a spiral growing on her forehead and eventually it starts eating her skull and then it eats a person and then it was just, oh, okay, this is extra super cursed. Okay, I have to be mentally prepared for this level of cursedness.
I think what they really wanted to do there, like, obviously they want to sell you on the show, but
Seriously.
the previous Junji Ito anime, it was ridiculously bad.
Oh.
It was really, really awful. I think what they wanted to do was be like, people, please, we're a different group of animators. We got the chills. We got the thrills here. We're going to deliver in a way that the old anime didn't. Don't think of that. Think of us. We're Uzumaki. We are doing the good Junji Ito.
Yeah, very stylistically on point and definitely very cursed. So make sure you're in the right state of mind when you watch this one.
Yeah.
I'm super in
that's gonna
for
be
it.
good.
I can't wait for that first episode and more. I'll probably watch the whole thing because I'm a big fan of the original manga work. So it'll be a good time.
Okay.
Yeah. And next up, we've got Negapazi Angler by Studio Nut, a drama. The anime's story centers on Tsunehiro Sasaki, a university student with a large debt, and is told by his doctor that he only has 2 years left to live. Living the rest of his days in depression, Tsunehiro one day gets chased by a debt collector and falls into the sea. He's rescued by Hana, a girl who loves fishing, and her fishing friends, including Takaaki. Hana urges Tsunehiro to experience fishing for the first time in his life, and he starts to develop friendship with other fishing enthusiasts. Things start looking up for Tsunehiro as he starts working at the convenience store where Hana and Takaaki work, and he slowly gets hooked into fishing.
Hooked into fishing.
What a
Hooked into
pun.
fishing.
What
Cue
a
studio
pun.
laughter.
Not gonna lie, the trailer for this was very, very intriguing. I liked the character designs. I liked the animation work. There
I
was
want to
one
know why
scene
this is a
where
drama.
because
Like, it
the
does
main
not-
guy's gonna die.
Everybody dies. That doesn't
Yeah,
make
but
every
most
series
people
in
don't
it.
have a date assigned to it.
You don't know.
But
Just because you're not aware of the date doesn't mean there's not an assigned date.
but one scene that that really spoke to me was when someone got hooked by one of the fishing lines and got swung around by that fishing line. It was very, very comedic, very funny. Haha. That happened to me when I was like 4.
Ooh. I have
My
definitely.
sister was throwing back her line,
Oh,
got
no.
me in the eyebrow,
No.
and of course those hooks are barbed.
Yeah.
So there was no choice other than to just pull it right out. And to this day, I still have a scar in my eyebrow for it.
When I was like 4 years old, we stopped by on a spot by the Bow River, and there were a couple of guys who were fishing, and I made a noise and distracted one of them. Like, they turned around to see who was there, and my dad saw that guy's buddy absolutely just like swing his hook, like his fishing line around, and the hook caught him like right in the lip.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was
When you're
Super
trying to catch
effective.
fish, but you catch people instead.
my fault.
Task failed
It's
successfully.
my fault because I made a sound. I saw people and I wanted to go say hi, but my dad was trying to tell me not to distract them.
Nancy made a Kinoko Inu sound.
No.
And then a man caught another man with a fishing line.
I'm sorry, person whose name I do not know, for the trouble
See,
I
and I
caused
thought
you.
Uzumaki was the horror anime, but now fishing and
Fishing.
hooking each other.
Fishing.
That's the real horror.
I can't help but notice that fishing as a theme or a genre like comes up every few years in anime, because I think the last time we caught a fishing themed anime was like years ago on the podcast, and I was like, oh, it's about fishing in space because we already fished all of our oceans into nothingness.
I remember that. And I remember that in the description itself, they had this weird subplot or something about how, oh, women can finally fish now in the future in space. And it's like, why? Why did you have to go out of your way to even mention that? Like, why was that even in question? And
was-
Like I said.
apparently it was based off of a gacha game.
Is that what
old?
it was from?
Yes.
Oh,
God.
If I
like I
remember
said,
right,
problematic anime.
tried watching that and we
2024.
skipped half of it.
Well, we couldn't make it through. Like, that was one of those rare episodes where we just like couldn't even survive through the first episode.
But Negaposi Angler actually seems like it's got some meaty story going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
And
I'm
also just
actually
like fishing.
kind of enthused. It looks like a legitimately good anime.
It looks well animated. I like the expressiveness of the characters. Yeah, it's probably gonna be a fun one. I'm looking
The
forward to the
designs
first
look
episode.
nice. I expect this to
Yeah.
be very heartwarming also.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, the premise that we're setting up for, it's going to be really weird if it's not at least a little bit heartwarming given this description.
It really should be. It should have some cathartic healing properties, this anime.
I hope so. I'm not sure what to think about the next one, though, when it comes to specifically heartwarming or healing properties. So maybe let's get into that. A fearful lord and a cheerful dog live together as masters and servants by Live 2D Creative Studio and OLM. It's a comedy and slice of life. The story is set in Japan's Warring States period. It follows Tono, a man who was once a fearful god on the battlefield but has fallen into poverty and is now living in a tenement house, and a dog that he picks up despite his inadequate daily life. Tono is pushed around by the dog, who does not listen to him and spends its time freely and unrestrainedly. And that's it. That's all they tell you.
Yes. And you know, I love that it's based on the historical Japanese breed, the corgi.
Yes, the corgi, the thing that came from England.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
I have many corgis in my life because my significant other has many corgis in her life.
Wait, she
And
does?
oh my God.
yeah, her family, and when I say family, I mean just like immediate family. I mean like extended family, like cousins, aunts, that kind of thing. They have a total of 4 corgi breeds.
Holy.
Damn.
They're fun. I mean, I like them, but
That's
they
great.
all have personality for sure.
I love that.
Hmm.
Dogs with personality are the best thing. My dog is a sassy little bitch and I love her.
Oh dear.
But this anime seems kind of neat. I'm actually surprised. It seems like it's going to be full length, like 20-minute episodes. The trailer made it seem like it was more geared towards like shorts or something of that nature.
There was another like previously reviewed show that we had done that was also very like, but it was about cats, I think. So the art style was also somewhat simplistic. It wasn't like super animated. There were definitely a lot of missing frames. It seemed more like storyboarding. And it also seemed to be something that was very slice of life and just like a random dude who has cat. And the cat is full of attitude, and that's it.
Now, one interesting thing about this is that Live 2D Creative Studios is in on it. Live 2D, of course, being the software suite that enables 2D VTubers to be a thing.
A lot of them, yeah.
It's also used in like mobile games in a lot of gaming. It is a very powerful animation tool. And I think this is one of the first times that we're seeing it being used as the main animation tool in an anime.
Do you think it's animation like as a tool, or do you think it's actually capturing a rigging?
They are absolutely using rigging. So I do have some experience using Live 2D myself. I have rigged some VTuber models in my day. And so I can tell some things by the pixels and how they move. Very frequently, they were actually using rigged animations and possibly even puppeted animations by like facial capture, things of that nature, for some of the characters. In fact, I think almost every scene that we saw, if a character was moving, it looked like it had the properties of a Live 2D model.
Interesting.
But I do like the art style. It's like a very watercolor, very, very light.
Very soft, very,
Yeah.
very like washed out. I like it too.
It's a
Like,
cute.
It's
town.
very cute.
Corgi is adorable.
Yes.
It gives you that bombastic side eye more than once. I feel like
Yes.
that is a very exploitable
Corgi
video
side
clip.
eye. Corgi
yes.
side eye is a treat.
Corgi side eye, it feels like they're judging your soul.
Yeah, it does.
They have snark.
They do.
For real.
It is very cute. I am kind of excited to see one episode of it, but I can't imagine myself watching much more than that.
We'll have to see.
I mean, for what it's worth, I did choose it as like well, I feel like we almost always have to have something that's less than up to par. just for
we'll
fun.
have to see.
Yeah. Who knows? It could exceed all expectations.
I do remember the one with the cats not being terribly interesting for us because they were like short little minisodes, and it just wasn't our style of humor or anything. So as long as this doesn't fall into the same trap, and they tell some kind of story, it could be really adorable. But I am looking forward to the fact that our season picks have been very full of animated dogs. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
And I am looking forward to how the whole Live 2D engine is going to work as, let's be honest, it's this kind of animation style or technology, shall we say, is only going to become more prevalent the better it gets. So there's probably a lot of
I was
merit that weighs in on this.
immediately before watching this immediately before recording this podcast, I was actually watching Takahata, a VTuber who was one of the voices behind DBZ Abridged. He was mentioning on stream how, one of these days, an anime studio is going to incorporate live 2D into their animation process, and they're going to make a whole lot of money. So it's really funny that within an hour,
This happened.
I was exposed to an anime using live 2D in its workflow. So I am interested to see what they do.
Also, there's like 4 actors in the show.
Yes. It is. I think it's very fair to say it is a low budget production. When they have only they proudly boast about how they only have 4 voice actors.
But on the other hand, I think they're the ones who are taking the risk and being experimental with it. So I understand that they're not trying to invest, entire bank accounts into the show.
It's still going to be an expensive show to make. Make no mistake about that. But if they get the bang for the buck, if they get the laughs for the low budget, then they've done things well. They've done things correctly.
As a first step,
Speaking-
it could be really interesting to see where it goes after this.
I think they chose good subject matter. I mean, rig up a cute dog as your animation rig, and it'll be a good time. They can't mess that up too bad, right?
Yeah. I love the way that the main guy looks. He actually looks like a scary samurai dude.
I mean, it's
He was
got
at
that-
his wit's
That
end.
He's got that
part.
long mustache. He's got that scowl. The way his mouth is constantly like open and like, "Arr!"
I guess that part is somewhat not anachronistic, despite the fact that he found a corgi.
But then he pets the corgi's belly and he's being sent to heaven suddenly.
Yes.
Yes.
Who wouldn't?
Yes.
Who wouldn't?
Exactly.
Speaking of being sent to heaven, this is not really related at all, but it's a segue anyways into Kimi wa Medo-sama by Felix Film. It's a comedy, it's a romance, it's a slice of life. Ahem. This is the story of a maid who is all alone in the world, but who finally finds a family, told from young that her only worth is as a killer. Yuki had known nothing else except cult efficiency and following orders. Now that she has a chance to leave her past behind, she arrives at the doorstep of Hitoyoshi Yokoya,
Why aren't you singing
Asking-
anymore?
asking to be employed as a maid. Thus begins the journey of a former assassin, learning what it means to be normal, air quotes.
I mean, there's actually quotes in the script too, but there's air quotes too.
Yes.
Does this count as born again yesterday trope or no?
I feel like
This-
it kind of does.
This is half of Spy Family.
Yes,
This-
this is half of Spy Family. A third.
That's
a
what
third
I
of Spy Family.
realized too. It's like this is very much sounds like Your Forger. It sounds like a Your Forger fanfic.
Yeah.
Not going to lie.
If your forger didn't show up and meet a handsome spy man and his adopted daughter, but instead fell into your lap in your life, wow, the possibilities.
I was so disappointed because I was scrolling through what was coming out in the next season and I saw sequel and I saw sequel and I saw sequel and I saw sequel and then I finally saw this and I was like, okay, let's give it a read. And I'm reading it and I'm just like, this is someone who just wants Your Forger to show up at their front door and become
their
their
maid.
maid.
Yeah.
I mean, the trailer literally has like a 14-year-old boy just like opening the door because someone rang the doorbell, and she's just there and says, "Please hire me as your maid."
In full maid dress and everything.
And
Obvious.
what bothers me the most even though there was only 2 animation cuts in the entire trailer, they looked really good.
The animation and the art style
She's very
is
pretty.
really nice.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. Maybe it won't be all gorgeous. Maybe it'll be really low budget too.
Maybe
they're
it'll
hiding
have
something.
first episode is where we blew our budget. But at least the first episode that we watched together as a group will be reasonably pretty.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I like.
I have watched
I
anime
can
like
hope
that
for that.
before.
It's true.
I remember
Yeah.
a couple years ago, maybe it wasn't that long ago, I can't remember. There was this one anime called Eye Sleeve, and it had a very appealing art style. But by the end of the anime, it was literally going Microsoft PowerPoint as an animation tool.
Oh, dear.
I counted out like a 7-minute segment, and there was less than 40 unique frames.
Ooh, boy.
Now, keep in mind, it was an awful anime, and all they were doing was banking on a good art style to sell it. But it was, do not watch Eye Sleeve. Do not watch Eye Sleeve.
That's
No,
unfortunate.
it's bad.
That's unfortunate.
But this one,
I don't know if I want to say I want to watch this first episode so much for the premise, as I'd rather I think the art really does look good, the character design does look good, so I'm willing to watch it on that premise. But the actual concept is kind of
I hate the
too
concept.
late '80s, early '90s of a romantic Mary Sue. Anime.
Feels harem-y, like in the 90s kind of a way.
It does.
Off the top of my head, Maharomatic, an anime about a robot,
yes.
attack robot who became a maid and showed up at some dude's house and became his maid.
Yeah. I was also
Did
gonna
it
call
first
it
and 20 years ago.
Boy.
I was gonna call it if I'm my goddess, if the goddess was a hitman.
Yeah.
If the goddess was a hitman, yes.
Yes,
That's
your
correct.
ideal dream girl shows up at your door.
Actually,
and
they've
Is a
also got a
literal
battle
deity.
entire
maid.
life better, but instead of an angelic provenance, she's an assassin.
They've got a battle maid exactly like this in a couple episodes of Black Lagoon, too. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know where this is going. It's not getting originality points, but maybe it's just getting, I'm curious enough to watch it because it's pretty, and we'll see what happens after that first step watch.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Maybe it'll be good. Maybe the concept of battle maid will, it'll just be so good that I can ignore the 14-year-old.
Maybe?
I am more than double the age of a 14-year-old. I have no interest in the self-insertion, of enjoying this premise.
I mean, it says it's a romance as a genre,
don't
which
want it to
already
be
tells us
romance.
where that's going.
I
Oh
don't
yeah,
wanna-
100%. This
But
is
all
this
right.
is self-insert power. This is self-insert fantasy slop.
Yeah, I don't need it, but I'll watch the first episode because
Because we're
It's
not
there.
allowed to choose we're not allowed to choose sequels.
for
I
a reason.
mean, if we were, Sword Art Online Alternative, Gun Gale Online 2. Oh boy, we'd be
There's
watching
Rurouni
that.
Kenshin something or other.
No,
At least I'd be allowed to watch the remake of Ranma.
yeah,
That would
You
be
could
my
do that
one.
on your own time.
I'm gonna do that on my own time.
probably. I will let you know if it is any good.
I hate to say it, I'm gonna be watching a lot of these sequels. I'm gonna be watching ReZero. I'm gonna be watching goddamn Sword Art Online Alternative, Gun Gale Online 2. God damn it.
Oh, Angelo.
God
I
damn
love
it.
that I get my digests from you. Anime Digest, week 1, go.
All right. Well, that's the bumper crop of the fall 2024 season, I'm sure. So we'll let you know what that whole deal is going to be like in a couple months, I think, from now. And
Yeah.
Until then,
Watch
we'll
Reboot.
see you at the next episode.
Watch Reboot.
Watch Reboot.
Yes. Watch Reboot. Come watch Reboot with us.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Otafest/reboot. OTAFE.st/reboot.
See you there.
Bye-bye.